Somewhere right now, someone is standing over a grave, whispering something they'd never say out loud to a living person. You've done it too. Maybe not at a grave, maybe to a photograph, maybe to an empty side of the bed. A voice memo you've never deleted, that you play just to hear them breathe. And the world has one answer ready for you, pre-packaged, printed on sympathy cards. They're always listening. They're watching over you. They're in a better place. It's a sentence built to end a conversation. Here's the one that starts it. What if they hear you, and your grief is the reason they haven't left? For over 40 years, a man from rural Kentucky lay down on a couch, closed his eyes, and slowed his breath until it looked like sleep. No formal education past the 8th grade, and yet doctors, philosophers, and grieving parents traveled across the country to ask him questions they were too afraid to ask anyone else. Edgar Cayce didn't offer comfort. He offered something stranger, reports. Field notes from the other side of the door, delivered in the calm, procedural voice of a man reading off a shipping manifest. And when families asked about their dead, the answer was never. They're at peace now. It was. Not yet, not for a while. According to these readings, in the first days after death, nothing vanishes. The newly dead stay close. They watch their own funeral. They see you choosing which photo goes on the casket, the good one, the one where you're both laughing from before any of this. They see you fall apart in the parking lot in a way you never once let them witness while they were alive. Sit inside that image for a second. Someone you loved, standing at the edge of the room they can no longer enter, watching you grieve them and unable to tell you they're still, in some fading way, right there. It's tender. It's unbearable. It is both at exactly the same time. And it raises a question most people spend their whole lives avoiding. If some part of them can still sense you, what exactly are you sending them? Here's where the comfort runs out. Consciousness, according to these accounts, doesn't switch off cleanly at death. It fogs. It lingers disoriented, sometimes for what we would count as years. There are cases described in this body of work of souls who don't know they've died, who keep returning to the same chair, the same porch, the same argument, waiting for a life that already ended without them noticing the exit. Try this for a moment. If you died tonight, quietly in your sleep, how long do you think it would take you to realize? Would you keep reaching for a door that no longer opens for you? Would you keep talking to the people you love, wondering, with growing panic, why they've suddenly gone silent? Death in this account isn't a light switch, it's fog. And fog doesn't lift on its own. Something has to burn it off. This is where the story turns on itself, because attachment in these readings runs in both directions. The dead can stay bound to us, but we, through love, through refusal, through sheer unwillingness to let the room go quiet, can bind them right back. Not with cruelty, with devotion. A bedroom kept exactly as it was, 12 years running. A plate set at Christmas that nobody eats from. A nightly conversation with an urn on a shelf, the same question asked 4,000 times, waiting for an answer it was never built to give. We call this loyalty. We build entire industries around the idea that holding on tighter is the deepest form of love. But here's a paradox worth sitting with, because it won't resolve easily. The people who miss the dead the most are sometimes, without ever meaning to, the ones making it hardest for them to leave. Picture someone drowning, and someone on the shore who loves them enough to wade in and grab their arm, but instead of pulling them to land, just holds them there, treading water forever. Not a rescue, a stalemate wearing the face of devotion. Think of someone specific now, not grief in the abstract, a name, a face, a voice you can still hear if you try. When you visit them, when you talk to their photograph, when you replay the last conversation for the 400th time, what are you actually asking them to do? Are you asking them to rest? Or are you, in a language you've never once spoken out loud, asking them to stay? Most people never ask themselves that, because the honest answer might be both, and living with both is the kind of discomfort nobody signs up for. Most videos like this one stop right here. They hand you the warm feeling, they're always with you, and walk away before the hard part. But there's a detail in Cayce's readings almost nobody mentions, and it changes everything. Prayer isn't described as a private comfort with nowhere to go. It's described as something with reach, a force that can genuinely ease a soul's passage, help it understand what happened to it, help it finally exhale. which means the relationship you thought was over only changed direction. You are no longer just the one who lost someone. You are, whether you applied for the job or not, someone with a role still left to play in how their story ends. Grief isn't the end of the relationship. It's the part where you find out what kind of love survives without a body to hold. Try this alone tonight in the quiet. Picture the person you lost, not as they were in the hospital bed, not in the casket, standing in a doorway waiting. Not because they don't love you, because they're not sure you'll survive them leaving. Now say one sentence to them, not "I miss you," not "come back." "You can go, I've got this." Notice what that does in your chest. That's not nothing, that's the whole video in 8 words. Here's what makes this hard to dismiss as one man's imagination. In Tibetan tradition, the living guide the dying through the transition with prayer, for days after the body stops. In Jewish mourning, grief is put on a calendar, intense, then deliberately, mechanically tapered toward release. In Catholic practice, masses are said for the dead, not for the comfort of the living in the pews. 3 traditions, 3 continents, no contact with each other for most of human history. Same conclusion arrived at separately over and over again. The living have a job to do for the dead, and the job was never to keep them close. Either that's the oldest shared instinct our species has ever had, or it's the same convenient lie invented independently by everyone who ever needed a way to survive losing someone. Ask yourself which one you believe, and notice that the answer might not stay the same by the end of this sentence. So the question was, never can they hear me. It was always, if they can, what am I asking them to carry? Grief that never turns into release doesn't stay love forever. Left alone in the dark, unmoving, it can quietly become something else. Possession, wearing love's clothes. Real love, the kind that costs you something, doesn't ask someone to stay chained to your pain so you don't have to feel it alone. It opens the door, and it means it. You don't have to stop missing them. You don't have to stop talking to them either, if that's how you carry them forward. But maybe tonight, instead of asking them to stay close, try the harder thing. Let them know it's all right to go. Not because you loved them less, because for the first time you loved them enough to finish the sentence. And if a soul really can stay lost for years, wandering a hallway that no longer exists, waiting for a life that already ended without them, what do you think it actually sees the moment it finally wakes up? You won't be able to stop thinking about that. Good, neither could I.